Today we're going to jump into a really haunting poem by Freedom Nyamubaya. It's called A Mysterious Marriage. Now, on the surface, it starts with a wedding, but what it's really about is a nation's broken heart and a deep political mystery.
So let's just dive right into the core puzzle of this whole thing. What happens when independence is supposed to marry freedom, but only one of them actually makes it to the altar? This single question, well, it's the key to unlocking the entire poem.
All right, first up, let's meet the couple. The poem says, the boy was independence, the girl was freedom. So right away, you know we're not talking about actual people. These are huge ideas brought to life, and they were supposed to be joined together during a great struggle against so-called armed robbers.
And the hype for this wedding, it was off the charts. The poem says, the whole village gathered waiting. Freedom and independence were more popular than Jesus. I mean, what a line. It just perfectly captures this incredible, almost religious hope that the people had. This marriage was meant to be their salvation.
But then, the rug gets pulled out from under everyone. Independence came, but freedom was not there. Instead, all anyone sees is an old woman catching a glimpse of freedom's shadow passing through the crowd. The bride is gone. All that's left is an illusion. And this is the central mystery we have to solve. What does it mean when the real thing disappears and only a shadow remains?
So to figure that out, we've got to look deeper than just the surface story, you know? This is not just some sad tale about a wedding day disaster. We are deep in the territory of a powerful political allegory.
And here it is, the heart of the matter. This poem isn't about a boy and a girl at all. It's about that painful, frustrating gap between getting political independence, a new flag, your own government, and actually achieving real, tangible freedom for ordinary people in their everyday lives.
Okay, so how in the world do we unpack a message this complex? Well, we're going to borrow a framework from a literary critic named I.A. Richards. You can think of it as our own personal analyst toolkit. It's got 4 keys that will help us unlock this poem's deepest secrets. Here they are, our 4 keys. First, you've got sense. That's just a literal story, what's happening on the surface. Then there's feeling, the emotions the poet is trying to get across, like disappointment or anger. Third is tone, the writer's attitude toward us, the audience. Is it sarcastic? Is it mournful? And finally, the big one, intention. What's the goal here? What does the poet want us to walk away thinking? Let's put these tools to work.
All right, time to start the investigation. We're going to use our new toolkit to decode the key symbols in this poem, starting with the setting itself.
So, the village. It's not just a physical place, right? It stands for the entire nation. It represents every single citizen who fought for this new beginning and is now waiting, full of hope to see that promise fulfilled. Their hope and their eventual disappointment is the story of the nation.
And who were they fighting against? The poem calls them the armed robbers. It's such a powerful metaphor, isn't it? It could mean colonizers or a dictator, really any oppressive system that steals a nation's wealth, its dignity, and its power. They're the whole reason this fight for independence and freedom had to happen in the first place.
And this might be the most tragic symbol in the whole poem, freedom's shadow. Think about it. A shadow has no substance. It's just an outline, an illusion. It perfectly represents the false promises of freedom, all the grand speeches, the new laws on paper that look like the real thing, but don't actually change anything. Freedom was talked about, but it never really showed up.
Which brings us to one of the most gut-wrenching, ironic lines in the entire piece. Even with the bride missing, the poem says, all the same, they celebrated independence. They literally threw a party for a marriage that never actually happened.
And that just forces us to ask this really uncomfortable question. Why would anybody celebrate a fake marriage? The poem is basically holding up a mirror and challenging us to think about how often we, as societies, accept these hollow political symbols instead of demanding real, authentic change in our lives.
Okay, so let's pull all of these clues together. It's time for the big reveal, what the poem is really saying about this empty, hollow celebration.
So, here's the final verdict from the poem. Political independence without real social, economic, and human freedom is just an empty, fruitless victory. It means nothing if people are still struggling, still silenced, still not truly free.
And Nyamubaya just hammers this point home with this absolutely heartbreaking image of the groom, left all alone at the altar. Fruitless and barren, independence staggers to old age. It's just this lonely, sad, unproductive figure, because it's missing its other half, its essential partner, freedom.
Now, just for a second, let's think about how you could get this poem totally wrong. Well, first, you could just read it as a simple, sad love story. Or you could completely ignore its critical, ironic tone and think it's some kind of patriotic anthem. Or, of course, you could miss that the main characters aren't people at all. If you do any of that, you miss the brilliant political critique that's really at its core.
And the poem doesn't give us some nice, tidy ending. It leaves us with this stark, final image of loss, leaving her shadow behind. Freedom has never returned. The hope that was once so bright is gone, and that absence feels devastatingly permanent.
And this is where we end up. This poem, it's not just about one country's history. It's universal and it's timeless. It leaves us with a really tough question to ask ourselves. What so-called victories do we celebrate in our own communities, in our own societies, while we quietly ignore what, or maybe who, is still painfully missing?